the no bullshit pond. The liner was fitted a couple of days ago and, as you can see, it's starting to fill up. The pond has now filled up to just below the bottom of the margins, so we can get on with the next stage, but it'll be tricky. Originally, 41 submerged wooden logs kept the soil in the margins in place, secured by steel poles hammered deep into the clay subsoil. Now the pond is lined, we can't use this method anymore, so we had to rethink. How do we keep the submerged logs underwater when they want to float to the surface? They'll now be held down by 134 heavy commercial paving slabs, bolted together with threaded stainless steel rods, nuts and washers. We tested our idea a couple of months ago and were surprised by how much weight was required to hold a log underwater. We've never heard of this method being used before, but we're confident it'll work. Getting all of the threaded stainless steel rods to line up with the holes in a log isn't as easy as you might think. We had to work out how to properly assemble everything, working right next to the water. To be as sure as possible there'll be no movement, we've connected all of the logs together with stainless steel bars. 100 tons of heavy clay soil can now be carefully moved back into place. Everything was frozen solid for days, but the ice has since thawed, although it was cold again last night. 100 tonnes of soil is back in place, so we're now getting on with the next phase, replanting thousands and thousands of marginal and bog garden plants. The original plan was to be doing this last October or early November, before it got too cold. But plans are plans, and reality often demands flexibility. My hands get very cold. So what? The job needs to be done. You have a vision of what you're doing, then you grasp opportunity and work bloody hard, one plant at a time. First, team members carefully wash much of the old soil off the roots. Then it's my job to plant them all. Spacing is important, plus planting depth, and you must always remember that you're handling living things. You have to be quick, because there's a hell of a lot to do, but without damaging the vital plant structures. When it's all done, back together, it'll look wonderful. It's only January, but spring and summer will soon be here. I'm actually delighted that we've got to this point in the massive upheaval operation. Getting the water lilies out of the pond was straightforward and quick, as is putting them back. Callum's younger and stronger than me, therefore best for this job, and he's borrowed a wetsuit as the water's very cold. Removing the water lilies must be done each year before seine netting, then they have to be put back in again, and these new stone steps will help. Whilst I'm replanting the marginals, Callum's main job is to get the edging stone in place. Again, we were well prepared before the liner installation. The order of each piece has already been determined, together with the soil depth, and turf has been removed. Being prepared improves project efficiency, often massively underestimated. This edging stone will hold down and hide where the pond liner has been trimmed, a practical necessity. But it will also add something extra to the pond in terms of attractiveness. It's beautiful stone. The pond is now almost full, and I'm delighted to announce that our method for keeping the logs underwater has worked. 2 years ago, a couple of the submerged logs soon floated up to the surface and needed to be re-anchored. But this time, all seems to have gone well. We fitted the liner around our overflow pipe, following guidance from Paul from Stevens Industries, who was in charge of the EPDM liner installation. And our emergency spillway is back in place, in case the overflow pipe couldn't cope with a huge downpour. We've got a second diffuser, thanks to Bibbus, who've been supporting this project since the beginning. The dissolved oxygen will now be spread throughout more of the pond, ensuring a healthy environment. If there's an oxygen crash, this can result in a disastrous fish die-off event. We've held the fish that had to be temporarily moved from the no bullshit pond in the lower pond and kingfisher pond for longer than originally anticipated. They're now going back before the weather warms up. There's roach and rudd, smaller fish, but lots of them. There's a few perch, a predator, and tench, olive green, a bottom feeder. Finally, some of our common carp and mirror carp, although most are being grown on in 3 stock ponds for now until they're bigger. For a change of scenery, I'm down at the bottom of our land, next to our ancient woodland stream. There are wild trout in here, plus stone loach, a tiny species of the barbel family. For those who don't know, we're an unusual wildlife conservation charity. We've witnessed firsthand gross inefficiency and ineffectiveness in many other charity organisations, decade after decade, which a lot of the general public suspect goes on, correctly so. As a result, we deliberately choose to work on a non-paid basis, fitting in other paid work when we can. We get a lot of material donations from businesses to help with specific project needs, which we're always genuinely grateful for. The liner for the no bullshit pond is a massive example of this, but every bit of help, whether it be big or small, makes a difference when used properly. The oasis is in mid-Sussex, 15 acres in size. We also have Comsberg Wilderness Nature Reserve in South Africa. Comsberg is huge, 30,700 acres or 17 miles across. We've reintroduced many wild animals. It's a good demonstration of what can be achieved if you spend donated money directly to further a good cause, instead of paying wages, frequently for little achievement. Although Comsberg is in the Karoo, getting sparse rainfall, we have one species of fish on the reserve, the chubby-head barb. It's a little fish, but the most amazing thing about it is that it survived on the reserve despite a devastating 7-year drought. Our rivers and streams are seasonal, dry for much of the year, and the dams likewise periodically dry up. The key to our unusual level of success is attitude. It's essential if you want to be the best you can be. Actually, there are 16 key factors, which can be thought of as the nuts and bolts or tools, collectively adding up to outstanding attitude or capability. These key factors include the need to grasp opportunity and work hard, never give up, be prepared, vision or expectation, including the setting of goals, facing reality, having the spirit of an adventurer, scale, which is thinking big but also paying attention to detail, linking everything together, and so on. They're transferable skills, unspecific, and therefore can be applied to almost anything you choose to do in life. It's not as straightforward as just doing the right stuff. Avoidance gets in the way, frustrating good intentions. This starts when you're young. Philip Larkin's famous poem sums it up. They fuck you up, your mum and dad. They may not mean to, but they do. They fill you with the faults they had and add some extra just for you. The negative conditioning messes people up. Nobody escapes. You learn from those around you to make excuses, to blame others, to deflect, to distract yourself, and to minimise whatever's emotionally painful. The aim is to avoid as much hurt and disappointment as possible. But this strategy of avoidance fucks you up even more. It backfires, big time. You increasingly adopt a limited, biased or fixed mindset. Our YouTube channel is the Human Potential Trust, which you might have noticed. This organisation deals with the psychology of attitude, whereas Wildlife for All has the specific aim of wildlife conservation. They stand up separately, but also combine for best effect. If you're interested in finding out more, our YouTube channel has lots of films about how to be the best you can be. Right, back to the pond. Different types of marginal plants require different water depths. Iris lavigata variegata prefers just 10 centimetres of water above their growing point. Iris pseudochorus variegata is more tolerant. It's in 15 to 20 centimetres of water. And Orontium aquaticum, golden club, prefers a water depth of 20 to 30 centimetres. Spawning fish utilise the margins, especially targeting those plants in slightly deeper water. They need to get in amongst the plants to deposit their eggs. During the planning phase for this massive upheaval process, we thought everything through to maximise any and every opportunity for making improvements, no matter how small. They all add up. The different sizes of submerged logs, their diameters, were matched with the different sections of marginal plants, permitting more or less water depth. This was a very deliberate part of our planning. Such attention to detail takes a bit more mental effort, but it really pays off. Our perch were the first to spawn on the 17th of April, with the eggs laid in long wide ribbons. Then again on the 25th of April. And they chose to spawn in the exact spot we thought would be the #1 best location. A month later, we witnessed the carp breeding. It's early morning on the 22nd of May, and our carp are spawning. Stimulated into action by perfect weather, they made excellent use of the deepest sections of the margins, thrashing around for 4 or 5 hours. It was a delight to see. Yet again making the recent hard work totally worthwhile. Fish love water lilies. The They're good for spawning, as shade umbrellas to get respite from the summer sun, and as a microenvironment for finding natural food. The aim of the No Bullshit Pond is partly educational. We're challenging one of the common myths unfortunately held by many of our fellow environmentalists, specifically the greenies and some academics. They insist that people should use native aquatic plants for their garden ponds because it's best for the environment. This is both rubbish and somewhat impractical. A dragonfly larva crawling out of a pond to turn into an adult dragonfly, for example, just wants something to grab onto. It doesn't mind if an iris or other plant is native or a prettier garden variety. Anything will do. Native aquatics tend to be messy and weedy, quickly taking over a small garden pond, thereby requiring a lot more maintenance. By contrast, the garden varieties, bred or selected by plant nurseries, are neater and less rampant, well suited to small-sized ponds. And they look more attractive. All marginal plants at the edges of a pond will utilise excessive amounts of nitrate from fish waste, etc., regardless if there happen to be a native species or not. So, again, there's zero benefit from using exclusively native plants. Our approach is practical and evidence-based. We have no time for ideology, waffle, hype or bullshit. We decide on the best for any given situation. We're not inflexible, unlike those who desperately insist their ideology is right. We've only used native aquatics here at the Kingfisher Pond, which is outside of the garden section of the oasis. Marsh marigolds are undoubtedly one of the most attractive of pond plants, flowering profusely in early spring, although their leaves can look tatty afterwards. And we're very fond of arrowheads, but they're not the best for small garden ponds because each year they randomly pop up in different places. As we were filming, we noticed a baby fallow deer right next to the Kingfisher Pond. Its mother had quickly moved away as soon as we arrived, and she returned after we finished. The greenies and some academics are also prejudiced against fish. Their bias favours aquatic invertebrates and amphibians. Yet fish are undoubtedly part of the natural ecosystem of many ponds. This prejudice is illogical and restrictive. For example, kingfishers and herons, which need a healthy fish population for their diet, lose out. Of course, fish will eat aquatic invertebrates, frog tadpoles, etc., etc., but this is absolutely natural. Great diving beetles will likewise devour fish fry whenever they can. If you're small enough to be eaten, something's going to be trying to grab you for breakfast, lunch or supper. There's no prejudice in the wild. Greenies and prejudiced academics are especially biased against carp. Although not strictly native, this species of fish has nevertheless been living here in the UK since it was introduced by monks way back in the Middle Ages, over 600 years ago. These same we know best individuals will almost certainly show their hypocrisy, their blindness to contradiction, when talking glowingly about the Maasai as indigenous people. Yet this East African tribe only moved into Kenya and Tanzania a mere 200 to 300 years ago. But facts seem to matter little to some in comparison to the self-importance of ideology. If you're going to label something as indigenous, or not, at least be consistent with how you get to that viewpoint. Another aim of the No Bullshit Pond is to highlight some of the UK's beautiful freshwater fish. Roach, rudd, perch, tench and carp. Common carp are majestic, but there's an added bonus with mirror carp. They have unique scale patterns which, like the stripes on our zebra at Comsburg, is useful for individual identification. We've given all of our mirror carp names, some funny, others more deep and meaningful in keeping with our attitude work. Common carp and mirror carp are actually one and the same species. The difference in scales is just because of different genetics. We'll be following the progress of these fish, especially focusing on the mirror carp and common carp, year after year. Each November we'll be seine netting the no bullshit pond to check exactly what's been happening during the previous 12 months. And we'll be weighing, measuring and filming them. This has already been done, twice, so we're underway. Carp are known to live up to 40 years, possibly longer, so it'll be fascinating to see what happens over time. So far, the no bullshit pond is proving to be productive for a wide range of aquatic wildlife, even if our fish are the main focus of this project. Our frog and toad population has noticeably increased. And when we last used the seine net, we caught lots of water stick insects, which were carefully translocated to our other ponds, together with the fish, as the massive upheaval involved in lining the pond was just about to happen. That said, a healthy new population of water stick insects is already getting established in the no bullshit pond. Pond life is especially active during spring and summer when water temperatures are higher. There are frogs, toads, newts, pond skaters, water boatmen or upside downers, whirligig beetles, great diving beetles, Daphnia and the other zooplankton, and much more. Ian, who's behind the camera, calls the no bullshit pond bloodbath restaurant at this time of the year. Everything's trying to eat everything else. It's a simple matter of eat or be eaten. Survival of the fittest. Nature is a savage paradise. There's nothing balanced about it, as was once believed. It's in a constant state of flux. Another example of the bloodbath restaurant phenomenon can be seen at spawning time. Fish will hungrily devour the eggs that they've just deposited or fertilised, perch spawn being an exception. Each little egg is an easy protein snack, just as it's the means for a species to reproduce. An extraordinary amount of spawn is produced in the hope that one or two might make it all the way through to becoming adult fish. We opened up the surrounding site, selectively removing 2 or 3 trees and trimming a few branches of others to allow a bit more wind to ripple the surface of the water. This is one of nature's ways of oxygenating a pond or lake. The tree surgery we've done also helps reduce the amount of leaf fall going into the pond every autumn. You don't want too much. Everything adds to the eventual build-up of silt, and then there's the increased demand for oxygen as the decaying matter breaks down. There are many factors to consider. A quick word about pond liners. Which type is best? Pond liners are made from 3 different types of material: EPDM, butyl and PVC. The cheapest is PVC. This is what Ian, who's still behind the camera, used 45 years ago for several small and medium-sized ponds when he initially established the Oasis Gardens as part of our Nature Reserve and Education Centre. But a PVC pond liner quickly becomes brittle and therefore vulnerable to cracking. It degrades without full sun protection, and it's very easily damaged by tree roots and herons. Nowadays, there's a much better choice. Butyl rubber was traditionally considered to be the best material, with superior qualities, but the cost was prohibitive for many. Then came EPDM, which is a great alternative and the #1 choice. EPDM has high flexibility, over 300%, which is important because ground moves and shifts over time. It's robust, preventing roots from potentially damaging the liner. It's a non-toxic material that's wildlife safe, including for fish and plants. Even more impressive is the life expectancy of EPDM. Until very recently, 40 years was the quoted time you could expect it to last. EPDM resists UV rays, ozone, extreme temperatures, as well as physical damage. But it's now even better. A lot better. If you've watched Massive Upheaval Part 1, you might remember that our plans were delayed because John Earl, Managing Director of Stevens Industries, told us that Elevate was about to bring out a new and improved EPDM liner. John's been incredibly supportive of our work, so we knew he had our best interests at heart. But what we didn't know until the day of the liner installation was that this new version of EPDM is now realistically expected to last for an amazing 70 years. As I explained in the earlier film, we built the no bullshit pond using clay subsoil, which we have in abundance. And it did successfully hold water for 2 years until John at Stevens Industries, in partnership with Elevate, generously agreed to help us once again with the EPDM liner. There was, however, a major problem with the clay subsoil in hot, dry weather. Our clay ground cracks badly in anything that resembles drought conditions, threatening the integrity of the margins, with some water loss. This wouldn't be a problem if we had a natural source of water, such as a stream or spring, continually topping up the pond. But we don't, at least not this far up our land. Our tank storage capacity, big as it is, which saves the winter overflow, wasn't sufficient to replace the lost water. During a hot, dry summer, now that it's lined, it might, however, be just enough to compensate for the natural evaporation on a pond the size of the no bullshit pond. At very least, it will certainly help mitigate much of the loss. This year, we've only had one tank fill up because the pond was refilling throughout the winter after the massive upheaval. So it'll be the next couple of summers which will show us how things will be from now on. We're now using fewer varieties of perennials in the bog garden strip than before. All of our original choices were excellent in terms of beauty, performance, toughness and suitability for the bog garden conditions. But not all look spectacular at distance. Astranthias, for example, didn't work when viewed from across the pond. They're best when their delicate flower heads are seen up close. Therefore, we've now created a bolder effect by using bigger numbers of those varieties which look great from afar. The bog garden plants and marginals will look more established from next year onwards because they've just been ripped out, then replanted a few months ago. Maturity takes time, although having access to all of the Oasis garden plants built up over the past 45 years has massively speeded up the desired effect. The bog garden strip is an integral part of the overall pond liner installation. These moisture-loving plants will benefit from an increased availability of water held in by the liner. Bog garden plants are not aquatics. They can't tolerate being underwater. We therefore added a drainage pipe just below the surface of the soil and 2 outflow pipes to control the maximum amount or height of water in this section. The bog garden strip is useful to wildlife as well as looking attractive. When tadpoles are big enough to turn into froglets or toadlets, metamorphosis, they're initially vulnerable to drying out or being fried by the strong sunlight. This additional habitat provides much needed cover or protection during the transition from living in water to land. Other benefits include long-lasting and abundant flowers for pollinators. This is on top of the marginal plants, such as Pontodera, which attract large numbers of bees, hoverflies, etc. We've kept the original piles of logs, which provide shelter for amphibians and small mammals. All of these mini habitats add up to a highly productive ecosystem. The hosta bed that we redesigned last year is looking great, another 12 months on. It's a lovely place from which to appreciate the beauty of the no bullshit pond. Even closer to the pond, to the right of the top of the steps, the flower bed with daylilies, geraniums and other perennials is also beginning to mature, adding more colour and interest. So the massive upheaval is over, behind us. Everything's back in place, growing, thriving. It was a lot of hard work, which now isn't immediately apparent, but we're really pleased we did it all. There are clear improvements which are already adding to the success of this project. Lining the pond has made a significant difference, preserving as much water as possible, maximising the integrity of this watery habitat. Cracks in the dry clay ground are no longer a worry. Perhaps the next biggest improvement has been the margins, specifically the deliberate grading of the various depths, which are already benefiting fish spawning, the fry, plus providing an even better environment for aquatic invertebrates. The bog garden strip has also been improved by the addition of the liner, enabling best possible water retention. These are moisture-loving plants. The overall plantings have been slightly improved, maximising visual beauty. Like the margins, they'll look better next year as they get more established after the disruption. The walkway, underwater, below the margins, will make seine netting easier and more effective. Yet another improvement. Plus, the seine net landing area has been slightly widened. This now doubles up as the boat landing area, whereas before there were two different places. At one end of the pond, near to the top of the steps, the underwater walkway here is wider. So it doubles up as a supplementary feeding area. A nice flat table for the fish to eat off. The liner stops erosion of the banks, whether it be from carp, ducks and geese, wind or anything else. These stone steps are another small beneficial change, allowing easier access to this end of the pond when we have to move the water lilies out before seine netting, then back in again afterwards. And the edging stone has added a touch of class as a finishing effect. Regardless of its large size, the no bullshit pond is nevertheless a garden pond. There's only one disadvantage to having lined the pond, so far as we know. The carp are no longer able to rub themselves against the clay for the purpose of removing parasites. It's possible, perhaps probable, that they'll find an alternative way, so this might not actually prove to be a negative. The fish have been feeding well throughout spring and early summer, and are hopefully growing nicely. They'll put on more weight during July, August and September whilst the water temperature is at its warmest. We'll be seine netting again in early November to weigh, measure and check our fish population. As before, we'll be filming this annual survey, and it's always exciting to see how much our special mirror carp and common carp have grown. I'm also looking forward to showing you the beautiful young tench that were born here with their attractive little red eyes. I'm really proud of our team, as everyone always does whatever's needed. Please get in touch if you'd like to join us. You can find details of our website in the description box below, and this has a page explaining how to apply for an interview. Once more, a big thank you to everyone who has supported this No Bullshit Pond project. Finally, thank you to our YouTube subscribers who've been following what we're doing. Please do subscribe if you haven't already done so, and give us a like. This helps raise the profile of our channel, giving others the opportunity to find out about the No Bullshit Pond and our beautiful fish. I'll see you again soon. As you can see, it's starting to fill up.